Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Drives Us, episode 388 for November 4th, 2020. My name is Russell Frost, and I am the host of this slowly sinking ship. And by host, I mean I'm the host that at 5:51 got an email from Georgia McKenzie, said, "Here, we having a show tonight?" And I went, oh,
that thing.
Oh, that thing that we do on Wednesdays for the last decade. Yeah, how did I forget? But I did. So I'm going to own it. I'm going to be there. My panel is here. They're wonderful and supportive, and most of them haven't made fun of me yet. They're saving it for the show. Let me introduce them, and we'll get the show on the road. My co-host and friend in Illinois, Tony Schaefer.
So I want to start off with this because I just need to cheer up a bit.
Cat on a Roomba.
For those on podcast and visually impaired, we got Cat on a Roomba.
Cat on a Roomba.
Cat on a Roomba is the best.
Yes, because no matter...
Cat in a Roomba in a shark suit is the best one.
Yeah.
That one is pretty good too.
Oh, yeah.
This is a regular Cat on a Roomba. Cat drinking from a glass.
Yeah, cat drinking out of a glass.
I haven't seen that one before.
Yeah. And this is, I shared that because I want to remind people that no matter how you may feel on today, the day after the election, regardless of what side you are on or whether or not you feel that your vote for Kanye was properly counted, if life gets you down, there are literally thousands of cat videos on YouTube that you can pull up at a moment's notice.
And no cats were harmed during the making of those videos that we know of.
So my understanding is the birthday party had two different vice presidents, depending on what ticket.
And to relate it to the show, we must mention that all cats on Roombas are on EVs.
This is true.
Right. Ooh, good point. Yeah.
No internal combustion powered Roombas out there that I know of.
They're autonomous electric vehicles.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cutting into
that don't follow any traffic laws.
Cats do not.
Let me introduce the reason we're having a show tonight and my other co-host for this fine show, Georgia McKenzie.
Hey, beautiful people. How is everybody feeling? I mean, it's not too bad in the interest of also helping you get through the election. There's Hime looking perfectly sweet, as normal.
Yeah.
She threw up all over the floor.
Oh.
Do you need a Roomba?
No, that would just grind it in.
Yikes.
Nice. Well, let's introduce our friend in the Mid-Atlantic region, the king of the Supercharger review, Mr. Casey Green.
What's up? Waiting on some results. Who knows when they'll come in? I did a product review. That wasn't a supercharger. Go check it out.
There you go. And speaking of a review that wasn't a supercharger, our friend in Canada, Mr. Mark Coughlin. I have no idea how those things connect, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to go, where's that going? Okay. Welcome to the show, everyone. And I'm just glad to be watching something different after 24 hours.
Exactly. There's no red and blue states flashing on your screen. None, and nor will there be, I think. Whoa, somebody just bailed out of the window, Georgia. Last but not least, our friend in Colorado, my favorite car salesman, because that's where I bought my car, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Yo, I got no cat videos, but I got a beer. And I don't know when you're watching this, but we are recording this the night after the election, and the results are still not in. So we're anxiously awaiting what's going to happen.
Inconclusive.
Yeah. Although the Ryder truck in front of the White House was a positive sign, we're just not sure what it's a positive sign of.
Yeah, I did. By the way, I was just sent an updated map of the electoral. This is what we know so far. So this is where we stand in the United States.
Absolutely. I can see California right there is
still up for grabs, it looks like. Yeah.
Is that the Fox News official map, or?
It's their favorite contributor. He sits in a big White House.
Yeah, you got the crayons instead of the Sharpies. Yeah.
It's very nice.
The Sharpies from him, so he had to improvise.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a couple of stories. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have a couple of stories, so let's get those out of the way.
Yeah.
As though there's something else to talk about. And of course, Mark's weekly report for This Week in Tesla. So let's go to Tony Schaefer for the first story. Tony, surprise me. What are you going to talk about?
Well, okay. So we had talked a few weeks ago about recycling in general, how it's a hoax that was played on us by the plastics industry, which it pretty much is. And unfortunately, in a lot of ways, recycling is more expensive than creating virgin plastic. And anytime creating something new is more expensive than recycling what already exists, we know where the businesses are going to go. They're going to tell you to throw away what you've got, and they're just going to replace it with new stuff. So I was surprised this week when I saw in inside Indiana business, which I didn't know was a thing, but so I'm from Indiana, and I thought this was pretty interesting. In my home state, the Northeast Indiana, in a town called Ashley, Indiana, a California-based company called Brightmark Energy is putting the final touches on a $260 million plastics to fuel plant, and they're almost finished with it. They're going to have it started up. They're hoping by the end of this year, and they say that by the end of next year they should be able to run at full capacity of converting 100,000 tons of plastic into what they are calling ultra low sulfur diesel fuel and you get NAPHTHA, naphtha blend, and then also naphtha.
Naphtha, yes.
Wow, and then also some commercial grade wax. So basically, what they're going to do is they should be able to take again 100,000 tons of plastic, and they're targeting the Chicagoland area. They also mentioned areas like Detroit and Gary that they can collect the plastics from there, and then they literally break them down first by tearing them into pellets, and then they apply heat and other things, and they convert them into the various gases, liquids, and waxes. And then that stuff can be sold to commercial industries for various uses. Now, my hope is that if they get this dialed in, then hopefully this type of plastics breakdown can be, scalable and what am I getting at? They could pop these up anywhere. Yeah, basically repeatable. And so maybe we could actually find a situation in which recycling, breaking down, and reselling these things will create a business model that is more attractive than throwing away what we've got and making new plastic.
So do they say, like, are there big smokestacks belching out the off gases in this process, or is it no pollution? Or did they locate there because the EPA doesn't enforce rules in that county?
Well, now that of course is not mentioned in the, hey, we're welcoming a new factory and you don't want to be within 50 miles downwind of it. No, they certainly don't. They don't say that. And I went to the Brightmark.com website. They're talking about what they do. I don't see huge belching smokestacks in any of these pictures of the factory. So it looks like it all might be closed cycle.
That's pretty cool if it works.
Share the screen of the website so people can see.
And that's a lot of money for a plant in a town like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, buy bottles, shred, pelletized.
But this gets rid of a lot of the objection to recycling by the recyclers, is that they don't have enough volume.
Right.
If you centralize it, you got volume.
I think this part right here, the types of plastic, that's going to be an issue because a lot of people presume plastic is just plastic. I see that all the time just with our apartment complex recycling area, where somehow or another comforters are plastic. But The biggest issue we do have is that a lot of people don't know what their municipalities can recycle. So this is great. I love the whole idea, especially the fact that we can convert it into fuel. But expanding the total amount of plastics that we can do this to, as well as educating the public about how to participate in this, is going to be a big task.
Right. And it's not, education is the huge thing, because when we talk about even, reducing energy consumption, electricity consumption, and putting in LEDs, for example, to reduce the demand. Well, that opens up a can of worms, because some people are saying, well, now that the LEDs consume less electricity, I can leave them on 24 hours a day, which completely offsets the fact that you're running energy efficient LEDs. Now, I use that as an example because if we bring highly efficient plastic recycling factories online, that doesn't mean we can consume more plastic. That's where the education needs to come in.
Says you.
Damn
Oh,
it.
sorry.
Yes, I'm such a socialist.
No, I mean, Tony, that's a really good point in that we do tend to, hey, I'm getting 50 miles to the gallon. I can drive more now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the point was to burn less fuel too. I mean,
The other thing is to bring in, you almost have to have some sort of regulation. You've got to have the people that are manufacturing products required to buy certain types so it can be recycled. Because if there's a cheaper price elsewhere or from another state, they're going to buy it from there, make their product, and it's not recyclable. Like you almost have to close loop the system
muted, Paul.
in the first place to allow us all to have a chance at this. Almost like when there is a deposit paid on a bottle or a can or something, they typically get recycled. But if people just have the ability to go anywhere they want and get a cheaper price, it's going to be difficult to have the resources renewable.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with Mark. They need like a plastic tax on any plastic you buy that encourages you to collect it and recycle it. And
the consumer pays for it, and that's part of, but they also get it back if they return it to the proper deposit area, and that would be helpful to allow at least the sorting to be correct, because it could come to a central depot that handles, okay, the green bottles go here and the pop bottles go here, and we do this with that bottle. And having that type of uniformity would certainly help the recycling ability, and would also help the plants that recycle it, because they could get it in mass from less multiple locations.
I wonder if they could do something like an RFID or NFC, where they could just have a machine sort them without even having to measure.
I'm sure that could be part of the UPC code too.
Yeah.
If they were still on them.
Yeah,
Right.
people tend to rip those off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they embed the chip into each bottle, and
assuming the bottle. Well, now you're getting into it's now a mixed material kind of bottle thing. They'd have to find out.
Well,
but if it's still got the label on
have
it,
a machine rip the chip out before it gets recycled.
Rip the chip out, or if it's still got the label on it, pay extra.
Yeah. So
because now they're not having to pay to sort it.
This is related. I promise. You got to let me build there. So I used to know a guy who owned a truck. He owned a large open top truck, and he would go to slaughterhouses and buy the guts, the entrails, and everything. And well, no. He would go there. They would pay him to haul it, and then he would haul that to a processor, and they would buy it from him. He was literally making money on both ends.
Oh.
Yeah.
And who did he sell it to? A hot dog factory?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure how that all went down. But,
Tony, we don't want to know. Trust me.
I told you I'm getting there. This is kind of the long way, right? Yeah. So where I'm going with this is assuming that assuming that this Brightmark company is making money on what they're selling, then they could very seriously get into the recycling business themselves, have people pay for the recycling service. They could collect the materials, break it down, and then sell it to the end businesses.
The trucks that haul the stuff to their plant.
Right. And I mean, that's exactly it. It's sort of the Salvation Army model, right? I mean, people show up and they donate stuff for free, and then they turn around and sell it, and they make money off of that. So if they can spin this up and make it profitable, then it could become a whole funding closed cycle, like Mark was talking about.
Well, especially if you put hundreds of them around the country, so that stuff doesn't have to be transported great distances to get recycled.
Yeah. And even on, a place like Chicago, that's massive. You could have 3 or 4 located, south side, 2 on the west, 1 on the north, none on the east side that, they tried building there once, it didn't work. But, just to handle the amount of plastic and trash that comes out of these huge cities.
Well, another good aspect of this that, is not necessarily tied just to the sustainability part is that they're partnering with a company called Recycle Force, which brings formerly incarcerated men and women back into the workforce with job training, case management, mentorship, and then guiding them into job opportunities. And I think that's also a great part of it, because we think a lot about how we are supposed to reclaim stuff, but one of the greatest things we could do is reclaim a life that has gone off track and help them stay on track. So thumbs up all around on that side of it too.
Yeah.
And Tony, is this their first plant or just their first in the Midwest?
Yeah, it sounds like they actually have more places. I'm just trying to.
Well, Brightmark is a California-based company. It says that.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But do they actually have plants up and running elsewhere?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good. In fact,
it's not to be confused with Breitbart, right?
Right. It's totally different. In fact, so.
Be more different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's backing up?
Someone has a fire.
Yeah.
My Prius is not in reverse. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Tony, you disable the beeper?
No, I love the beeper. I love the beeper. Right, Paul's shaking his head. It's really
you don't tell me you know something.
Tony, I'm just curious, the Indiana connection here. Did you
yeah.
Is that how you found this? Do you have like an Indiana news search?
No, I don't have an Indiana news search.
Okay.
But it apparently got flagged as, because I read a lot of news on sustainability.
It's the only sustainable thing going on in Indiana. So
besides maybe recycling Mike Pence. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey,
I know.
The nice thing is there are multiple Brightmark sites all around the country.
Yes.
Are there? Okay.
Yeah. They are a company reimagining recycling.
Well, that's some serious investment if it's $250 million to build a plant. I mean, that's they're going to be there for the long haul. That's a lot of money to drop.
I think the one thing that we've touched on here that is really the unavoidable truth is that we always find a way to screw things up. We set up something great, and then we kind of go, oh wait, recycling is so awesome, and then we throw the comforter in the recycling bin, or it's just too far to walk down there, and we throw the recycling in the trash, and it ends up in a landfill anyway. And this has to be part of an overall solution that addresses those things, the education, you can't just tax it. I mean, again, you're just basically saying, okay, I get 5 cents for this. If I recycle it, fuck it. I don't care. I don't need the nickel,
See, that was one of the things I liked about my grandmother's farm is it was a smaller town, And so everything was single stream. You just threw it all in the garbage, and they paid people to go pick through your garbage. And they knew what was and wasn't recyclable for their partners. And it was magical. Just throw it in, and it'll take care of itself. Reduce it if you can, because you pay by the pound. But maybe some kind of combination of that, like getting people who are trained to do it, and robots and stuff.
That's okay in a smaller town.
So you don't have
as soon as you get into a large urban center, you can't have enough people to pick through it.
But like Georgia said, we could recycle some lives, some folks that are that are now eligible that could have something to do.
Yes.
I mean, it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all solution. We got to work at it. But if we could recycle instead of going virgin materials, and like several of you guys said, we got to make sure that it actually is a savings, both in money and in energy and emissions.
Well, let's move on to another story of recycling, a little bit different kind of recycling, a company that tried something and kind of blew it and is going to try it again, hopefully successfully this time. And for that, I'm going to go right back to Tony Schaefer.
Oh, man.
Did I set you up badly? I'm sorry. Do you want me to intro the story?
Oh, no. I just,
okay.
I just didn't want to do 2 stories in a row. But
you only have 2 stories this week, Tony. They're both yours.
Yeah.
I admit I forgot about the show.
I'm the favorite. Okay. So, I have to admit that I was apparently mistaken. I thought for sure that Ford had already mentioned about making an all-electric e-Transit. And
yes,
it turns out that I was thinking, well, okay. And then I was going to say I was thinking about was it the Nissan Sprinter?
No,
Or
that's a Daimler product. Nissan has an NV2000 electric van. It's sold
the
in Europe.
NV2000. Oh, okay.
And the 200. Yeah.
And okay, so there's these out there, but the Detroit Free Press reported that according to James Farley Jr. At Corktown factory in Detroit, said that there's going to be a all-electric e-Transit, and that that's one of their best-selling cargo vans, and they're going to go electric because they want to support the transition to electric, and they especially want to get into California now that California has said that there's going to be no new internal combustion engine vehicles. So I was really thrown off at this, but if this is great news, because even though they're targeting California, and we've always said that California helped set the bar for other states, then this is really we've said it many times that these cargo delivery vans usually run a very set route, or they usually just don't go very far, and they can be parked and charged back at the warehouse overnight. So this is really good. And of course, Ford has been supporting the CARB in California's zero emission initiative, where some other manufacturers have actually fought against it. And for that, the California governor Newsom has actually praised Ford for their support. And it's just it's as much trash talk as we've given Ford. I would like to think that the Mach-E and this new transit van, and then some of their other electric vehicles that they say are coming, hopefully Ford is starting to figure stuff out, and hopefully we'll see an electrification of the Ford fleet, the Ford fleet, not the floored feet. That's different.
But you could floor the Ford fleet with your lightning pedal.
There you go.
The first time Ford took a whack at this, they used a third-party company. And Paul, I think
Magna?
you know about this. I'm sorry, Casey?
Okay.
Magna?
No. It wasn't Magna.
No, that was the focus.
It wasn't Ford. No, well, there was There was actually a EV Ford Transit.
Right.
It had nothing to do with Ford. It was a third-party conversion company built them, and they were god awful. They all
Right.
broke.
Ford was selling them gliders, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So what we mean by a glider is the shell of a car without the powertrain in it. Somebody comes in and electrifies it, and boom, they're an electric car company. And that failed miserably. But I've always been a huge Transit fan. I love the Transit as a vehicle. The reason I don't have one is it gets a miserable 22 mpg. Yeah, that
Which
doesn't.
isn't bad for a van, but when you're used to a Prius.
When you're used to, right, when you're used to a Prius. And so the idea of an electric Transit, oh, that makes my little heart beat faster, because I love that little car. I think they're wonderful.
And one that's offered by the factory that's going to be supported properly.
And says the guy who repairs cars that aren't offered by factories and aren't supported properly.
And that don't work very well.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's it's a super important point, Paul, that you bring that up, that like sometimes the third-party conversions aren't that cool because then that company goes out of business, right? Where's A123 or whoever? I don't know.
Well, and they don't have the engineering capacity to properly test stuff to build it to last. You know, they build it to deliver it, but a company like Ford or GM or Toyota has been building cars forever. They have a gaggle of engineers that test everything and make sure it's going to hold up, you know, a reasonable amount of time. So.
Yeah, and I will say, my wife has a 10-year-old Fusion hybrid. I spent a week with a more recent Fusion hybrid, and then the Fusion Titanium plug-in hybrid. Is it Titanium Platinum? The whatever metal they called it for stupid marketing, but I think it was solid build. I thought the user interface was great. The dashboard was good. It was a really good car. I think if Ford really does put its weight behind electrification of its fleet, I think they're going to do a bang up job. They've just got to jump in because, like so many of the other manufacturers, they're lagging behind Tesla, and they're playing catch up. They've got a lot of work to do.
Well, I mean, okay, yes, but Tesla makes a passenger car. That's what they make.
Right.
So Rivian and Ford and all these and Lordstown and Bollinger are all now. Tesla may someday make a Cybertruck. I'm not bashing Tesla. I'm just saying it would be great to see Ford do something like this. It would be great to see Nissan bring that NV200/2000 to the US, since they already make it and deploy it and sell it in another continent. These are super useful vehicles.
Right. Well, it would also be great to see a Fusion EV. It would be great to see, a lot of other, pure EVs, more than just a Mustang.
SUV.
There will be, there'll probably be an Escape EV at some point because they have an Escape hybrid again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plug-in hybrid.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons, none of which we're privy to, of why Ford hasn't electrified more of its fleet. They've certainly talked about it at times and then drawn back, and then talk about it and then drawn back. Hopefully this isn't another feint.
Hasn't it always been sort of a Bill Ford Jr., I love the smell of gasoline, gearhead mentality?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I honestly,
I thought he was on record at one point.
They're really committed to electrifying all their fleet. I mean, you don't get that kind of one step forward, two steps back when you have a real unified policy and a really unified board. So you might be right that there are people who are saying that we got to go forward, and there are other people like, yeah, but are we really sure we want to invest that? And it's just going to depend on whether or not the numbers start coming in with demand before we can get the naysayers to really stop blocking progress.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, any other thoughts on an electric Ford Transit, kids?
Bring it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
bring it.
All the little local delivery places, the flower shops, the lunch places. I mean, great little urban vehicle.
Idiots like me who would love to have one. for no reason.
I think it'd be great. Like all its tiny home stuff. Boom.
There's
easy.
another
Plug it in.
idiot. Hey, two idiots. Yeah. We're idiots together, Casey, you and me.
Yeah.
Speaking of non-idiotic things, you're welcome, Mr. Coughlin. Let's go to Mark Coughlin for This Week in Tesla.
Well, this week in Tesla, we were able to score a interview with Teslatino, Raphael of Teslatino fame. And you may ask, well, what's special about Raphael? Well, what his special power is that he is one of the limited number of people that have full self-driving beta. So he's got it on his car, and he's been driving with it now for just about 2 weeks. And he was able to fill in with us how this works, how he was contacted by Tesla, what his NDA is, what he's able to say and not say. And it was a very interesting interview that you can pick up on the Tesla Life if you have interest. But what was very interesting to hear was that there are a couple of different NDAs that Tesla has offered for the full self-drive. So people as Raphael, who have a YouTube channel, Tesla's happy to sign an NDA with them and allow them to share their experience in the car, record it, and display it publicly. Raphael believes there are others out there that are more along the engineering side of things that are not allowed to share anything at all. So it was interesting to learn that there can be some different NDAs out there that Tesla offers. And of course, it makes sense that they're looking for publicity. They want people to share what's going on and show the cars driving themselves and making turns and stopping at lights and keeping the proper distance. And all of that is wonderful publicity for them as full self-driving enters this beta phase that has begun. So a very interesting interview that you can pick up on the Tesla Life from today. Also, through the week, just a couple of other things that have happened. Tesla's testing out a time of day charging rate at certain Southern California superchargers. So they're looking at incentivizing people to come by a supercharger at a certain point in the day with lower rates to possibly avoid congestion. We've seen the stories of holidays like the upcoming Thanksgiving or Christmas, where Tesla chargers are overrun. Now, they've added certainly more Tesla chargers to the network, and that should certainly help as well. But this is another tool in their box that they're testing to see if it will change people's how they react, how they charge when they charge, and it certainly could help. But it's something that this time of day charging rates they're trying out at certain stations.
How close is that to surge pricing? I mean,
it's similar. You could definitely point it in that direction. I believe that what they do is they indicate that on screen that there's a discount if you're charging at this particular time.
Yep.
So
I likened it to the express lanes here in the DC Metro, where you pay extra to get out of traffic.
Right. So that's kind of interesting news to watch. We'll see if it's successful, and again, is it only for places that are overrun with use? Would we ever see this come to Omaha, Nebraska? Because there really is no there's no volume problem in Omaha. In fact, there's no volume at all. I'd say from Arizona to the East Coast, there's no volume problems at all. So
the Boulder supercharger gets congested at times.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
that's because Paul sits there with his Gen 1 Prius. Where do I plug this in? Anyone? want to help me out? Parks it sideways.
That could be
Yeah.
the problem. Yes,
Yeah.
that could be the problem.
So, I mean, until we deploy it, we don't really know what the strategy is until we get some confirmation. I'm guessing Casey Green may have some insight on that just because he's sort of the supercharger maven here. But okay, so the other side of it is a supercharger that isn't used very much, isn't making very much money, isn't paying back its investment. So maybe they jack the prices up there because it's the only supercharger for 60 miles and it's not making any money. And
Well, if they jack the prices, less people are going to charge.
Right. Although if they
middle
open
of
up,
nowhere.
not if there's no other choice.
but if they go further and they open up the network, well, they've already opened it, but somebody actually bites and participates in the network with them, then yes, that would be brilliant
But
opportunity.
I think demand-based pricing can benefit everybody. Like in the Bay Area, what, 10 years ago, they went to off-peak pricing on the Bay Bridge. So if you didn't have to commute during rush hour and you went into the city after 9:30 or 10 in the morning, it was $2 cheaper. Well, there was enough people willing to wait till 10 o'clock to go into the city that didn't have to be there at 8. And that helped the earlier people be less congested. So it was like a win-win
Yeah.
if you do it right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's kind of interesting. A new test phase they're going through. We'll have to see if this is spreads out further, or if this is just basically for certain Southern California chargers. We're not really sure.
What would impact it is if the utility has off-peak rates for Tesla that they're buying the energy from.
Yeah, and that's certainly the case in California in a number of places.
They do have batteries. They can. They do it at some sites. Not many, but they do it at some sites.
Not many. Yeah, they can have to get more of those, but they're too busy selling the batteries, I think. But one other story that happened this week is the Tesla Gigafactory that's now under construction in Texas, outside of Austin. There was a think tank in Austin that was talking about job creation. They estimated originally that they believed that the factory was going to bring about 9,000 jobs to the surrounding region. And after examining Tesla's plans and the ramp up of the size of the factory, they believe that's going to quickly turn into 15,000 jobs regionally. So great if you're in Austin. You've got some more jobs coming your way, and hopefully more as Tesla's successful with that pickup truck that they've got planned for that site. So another plus coming down the road.
There you go. Well, thank you, Mark. I'm sorry, I didn't mean, and usually This Week in Tesla isn't interactive, but I thought, no, we had a little more time, and I was very curious to watch that interview and hear about the NDAs and stuff.
Yep.
Having been one who publicly speculated about the Tesla NDAs when they said they were rolling out FSD, I find myself not surprised that there's a couple different.
Especially when we heard the NDA circulating and then we started seeing them, and nobody had talked about it before. So it was like, what's going on? There's no way all of these people are breaking the rules.
Right.
How does this work? Yeah.
Well, I want to take this opportunity to remind everyone that though there's a whole lot of stuff going on Facebook, weed through all the crap right now and look for our Facebook channel. If you have not yet subscribed or liked our Facebook page, look for it at facebook.com/whatdrivesus, or just do a Facebook search for What Drives Us. You can read the articles that we're reading, leave us comments, like the page, suggest news items, whatever you want to do. Or if you do use Flipboard as a news aggregator like I do, Philip Barclay and I throw articles into our aggregated magazine on a regular basis. So find us on Facebook or find us on Flipboard.
There you go. Thank you, Tony. Let's do some shout outs and go home, because that's the kind of night this is.
Yeah.
Do we want to do
one more story?
Yeah.
Do we have
Want to do one more?
for
Go
just
for
one
it,
more?
Paul.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So
Do it.
I don't. know where the source of the story is, but the gist of it is Massachusetts voters voted in favor of the right to repair laws, which means independent shops like mine, if I was in Massachusetts, would be allowed to get information from companies like Tesla to fix their cars, which would give the consumer choice of where they take their car to fix it. Because right now, if you go to the Tesla store, they might say, oh, well, we don't have any appointments for 3 weeks, so you have to take the bus. Or we can't get the parts because we're using all the parts to build new cars, so the hell with you. So every other car company, the consumer can go to an independent shop if they want, and hopefully Massachusetts will do what, for right to repair, what Colorado did for marijuana. One state does it, other states copy the plan, and it eventually becomes nationwide. So that's pretty cool. So good for you, Massachusetts.
Yeah, our biggest offenders right now are John Deere, Apple, and Tesla. And the good thing with Massachusetts doing this, even if nobody else picks up on it, is now these companies still have to make the documentation. So maybe Paul has an employee whose job is to read manuals in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or someone on the internet who could scan it and forward it to me.
Oops, what do you know about that?
Oops.
I just looked up, and it was 75% overwhelming support for this.
Well, here's a real example. We had a customer who called us, Model 3, he needed a 12-volt battery. Of course, the Tesla uses a proprietary size 12-volt battery that you can't just go down to AutoZone and buy. And he said, could we get one? I said, well, I don't know. I've never tried. I couldn't easily get one quickly. And I said, why don't you just go to the Tesla store? He says, well, they won't even talk to me for 2 weeks. Like, you can't even go into the parts counter like you can at Toyota and say, sell me a battery, I'll put it in myself. For a 12-volt battery, which is not the high voltage battery, it's not dangerous, but he was so frustrated. He said, well, this is stupid. I spent 60 grand on a car and I can't use it because Tesla won't sell me a battery. So the more choices consumer has, the better for everybody.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I've had at least 12 interactions with Tesla parts, and I've never actually talked to a parts employee. It's always been through a service writer, through a salesperson, through the internet, and never direct.
Right, like you can go to GM or Toyota, any other car dealer
right there at the counter.
has a parts counter. You just walk in and say, sell me a battery. I'll put it in myself, or I'll pay my neighborhood garage to put it in. But don't
$400, cash your card.
Yeah, don't have to sell you the parts.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
This wasn't something you could, like, to me, you buy a car, you should be able to get all the data that you need in order to have it repaired at your choice. So it's kind of funny that we actually had to have this be in a law for Massachusetts.
Yeah, John Deere was the biggest pusher of it. I mean, Apple and Toyota and Apple and Tesla just kind of latched onto it, but John Deere was a mess.
Right.
Yeah, I read about a lot of articles now that you mentioned John Deere. Farmers, and they said the hottest selling John Deere tractor was like a 1978 something because because there was no software in it and you could repair it. Yeah. And you could get parts for it. But yeah, this discussion just reminds me of Rich Rebuilds when he was doing the Audi, and he needed a whole new back end in the trunk and everything for the Audi, and he was like, I just called them and they asked for my address. I don't know where to go from there.
Yeah. They said, what's your address and what's your credit card? Here's your parts.
Yeah.
He's like, we don't got to fight first.
It is
My
super.
father's
Massachusetts,
actually so I grew up with all the manuals for cars like in the library. So like from like 1964 up until I think when he stopped working professionally on UPS trucks and stuff like that. So that was like through like almost 2000. So it's kind of weird to me that you actually have to sue or have a law that establishes your right to repair.
And what's really cool is, the big corporations were spending money trying to fight this law, and the public voted for it. So in Massachusetts, the public is not stupid. So that's good.
That is good.
Yeah.
Not so much in California.
No. Well, like Casey said, though, chink in the armor. This could be a start.
Yeah. Well, Europe's going for right to repair as well. All of Europe with the EU, so that would be huge.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Any more one more things?
Right. No, we're good.
Come on, Georgia.
We're one word out.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
It's been a long decade.
Last night was a long night.
Started yesterday.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
last 24
Last
hours
night.
has been a long decade.
Yes, exactly.
The longest decade of my life.
Okay, well, let's do some shout outs and go home. I'm going to start with Casey Green.
So I had a video drop today. It was a review of an ergonomic eating in the car solution. Everybody talks about, you get the trays that you can hook on your steering wheel, but how about a tray that fits in your cup holder? Check it out at youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN. Short video. I think you might like it. It was unique and novel. So.
There you go. Do visit Casey's channel and subscribe while you're there because that's the right thing to do.
Thank you. It's free too.
It's free. Absolutely. We're charging, but Casey isn't. So,
Right.
Well, it's up-and-comers,
Yeah.
Mark Coughlin.
Is that why I got a bill in the mail? I
Not
didn't know
yet.
where that came from.
If I send bills, then people ask questions. I just take the money. It's easy.
Your first
Well,
subscription
you don't
is
have to
free.
worry out there. We are not charging for what drives us. Please press that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up at this point in the show, too. That helps us get more eyeballs in front of the show, and that is supporting us, and we would appreciate it. So please do so, and we thank you for watching this week.
Thank you so much. Mr. Guzik.
Just plug my business, Boulder Hybrids, boulderhc.com for repairs in Boulder and Denver area, and my sales website, boulderh.com, where we've got a cute little, I like to call it Mountain Dew Green Prius C for sale, if anyone's looking for a fun little hatchback.
You got
Is that
one of the green ones.
Habanero? No, habanero is the orange, right?
Where's the
Yeah,
orange?
this is it's on my website, boulderh.com.
Is it one? It's the Persona edition with the eyebrows.
No, it's Prius C. So,
Yes.
But it's I don't know what you mean by eyebrows. It's
I'll
just
have
the
to
way
look at the
they're-
website. Yeah, they made a
Yeah.
Persona edition that came in like a bright green and had these. Yeah.
Well, it's a green. They call it electric line metallic, but I call it Mountain Dew green. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your version's more descriptive. I'll give you that. Georgia McKenzie, any shout outs this week?
Yeah, I do. Big shout out to all you voters, all you text bankers, phone bankers, canvassers, everybody who got out there and worked this election, everybody who
people who
made an
drove people
appointment
to the polls, thank you very much.
those of you who drove people to the polls, companies who gave your employees the day off. Good job. What a lot of people don't get this about me, but my whole thing is not necessarily to get you to vote for a specific person where it comes to political choices, but it is to get you to understand that you are a very powerful person. Your vote is important, your voice is important, and participation is critical. So I think the fact that we've had a record turnout is fantastic news, and hey, let's do more of that. The rest of us, we should probably just all maybe have a drink or take a gummy, chill, because that was stressful, and it still is. But I think it's really cool that happened. So I'm thankful for that. And that's all I got to say.
There's nothing I can add or change to that. Thank you, Georgia. Good message. Tony Schaefer, save me, my friend.
I want to remind everyone that we will not require you to sign an NDA for watching our show or discussing our show, whether you are a YouTube influencer or an engineer. We don't care. So subscribe to the channel, and no NDA. And again, we don't charge you to subscribe. The first subscription is free. We may charge you double after that. So speaking of which, I don't know where you got this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, then yeah, I know where you got it. You're watching on YouTube. But if you're listening to the audio version, we're pretty much on all the podcast catchers. And so go ahead, subscribe to whatever podcast catcher you are listening to. It does help boost our numbers. And, if you do like our show, tell a friend. And, maybe through organic growth, we might actually pick up another subscriber or two. And that would be awesome. We've been cooped up in the house, the pandemic and all of that. So, if you're looking for something new, then listen to our show, subscribe, tell a friend, and watch cat videos.
Thank you, Tony Schaefer. Absolutely. As always, I want to thank Michael Manring for his theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. I want to thank everybody on this panel who's, well, maybe not Mark, because, he lives the beautiful life in communist Canada. Everything's perfect. Everything's perfect. Watching the dumpster fire that has been the lower 48 for the last 4 years. So I want to thank all of the rest of the people that aren't Mark Coughlin for not losing their minds and coming on the show. Because, I pretty much lost my mind and almost didn't do the show tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I want to thank all of you for watching. Do subscribe. Do hit that notifications, please. That helps us immensely, and it costs you nothing. We won't spam you or do anything mean other than put out shows, and that's kind of mean, but we don't make you watch them. I mean, we'd like it if you did, but because you guys are the reason we do the show. Tune in next week, and hopefully I'll have my act together, and you'll find out what drives us. Maybe, I don't know.
That's worth a shot.
Here,
You'll have to tune in to find out.